Let's dive into this. Welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a truly fascinating approach to building serious wealth straight from the mind of trading expert Vishal Mulkan. We're going to break down his entire metaphorical playbook. You know, if you've ever felt like wealth creation is this mysterious locked door that only the ultra-rich have the key to, well, you are absolutely in the right place. We are going to demystify the entire process, step by step. Let's get started.
So, can you actually reach crores starting with just 600 rupees? I know, it sounds totally like a gimmick, right? But the reality is, you absolutely can. Malkin himself actually came from a lower middle class background, and his journey completely shatters the myth that you need massive capital to start. The stock market, it doesn't care about your background, it only cares about your process. If you can save even a tiny fraction of your monthly income, say you're only saving a few hundred or 1,000 rupees, you are already at the starting line. To get us there, we're going to walk through a structured playbook today. First, middle class to millionaire. Then, the wealth building formula. After that, invest in what you know, followed by the test match strategy. And finally, find your true purpose.
All right, kicking things off with part one, middle class to millionaire, breaking the myth.
You know, the biggest hurdle most folks face isn't actually a lack of funds, it's a lack of belief and a lack of process. Success in the market really relies on hard work and treating investing as a profession. It's just like studying for years to become a doctor or an engineer. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, well, I completely missed the boat. I'm in my 40s, I haven't built a corpus, but as the old saying goes, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time? That's today. While starting as a teenager is obviously the absolute ideal to maximize that compounding effect, late starters still have incredible scope. If you didn't plant that tree back then, don't waste literally another second regretting it. Just plant it today. And how exactly do you find the seeds to plant that tree? 2 words: delayed gratification. We live in a world completely obsessed with instant reward apps. Malkin points out a staggering statistic. A massive percentage of expensive smartphones, like iPhones, are actually bought on EMIs. People are taking on debt for things they honestly can't afford. You have to ask yourself, do you just want that new phone for the status, or do you actually need its basic functions? Because if you can settle for a basic phone and invest that massive price gap instead, you are taking the absolutely crucial first step toward true wealth. Moving on to section 2, the wealth building formula, shifting the mindset. Now, what's really interesting about this next concept is how it changes everything. This formula fundamentally rewires how we think about money. We're talking about shifting your financial mindset from the ground up. See, the poor mindset operates like this. Income comes in, you spend it on your expenses, your EMIs, your lifestyle, and whatever tiny amount is left over, if anything's even left, becomes your savings. But the rich mindset, it completely flips the equation. Income comes in, and the very first thing you do is subtract your savings and investments. You pay your future self first. Only the money left over after saving dictates what your expenses are going to be. Master this one single shift, and you are already on the path to becoming wealthy. Which brings us to section 3, invest in what you know, the path to mastery. Okay, so you've saved the money. Where does it actually go? Well, you wouldn't perform surgery without going to medical school, right? And you definitely shouldn't throw money into markets you don't understand. Investing requires dedicated study before you start earning. Here's the exact path to mastery. Step 1 is where everyone starts: mutual funds and SIPs. Basically, let the experts handle your money while you spend 2 to 3 years just studying the market. Once you really understand how stocks move, then you step up to step 2, direct equities. You start buying cash shares where your risk is safely limited to the stock price. And only when you have significant capital, high risk appetite, and complete mastery do you even look at step 3, futures and options. Remember, knowledge is literally the only answer to the fear of the stock market. But hey, as you climb those steps, beware of the major investment blunders that completely wipe people out. Do not listen to random non-experts or neighborhood tips. Never put all your savings into one single sure-thing trade. And never, ever trade without a stop-loss, meaning you absolutely must know your exit point before you enter. Honestly, if you operate without a formula, you aren't doing business. You're basically just gambling at a casino. Let's look at section 4, the test match strategy. Survival and risk management. So the crucial point here is how you handle risk. This is the absolute core of Malkin's philosophy. Protect your wicket. The stock market is not some fast-paced T20 match where you have to hit a 6 on every single ball. That is a guaranteed recipe for disaster.
The stock market is a lifelong test match. Your capital, your hard-earned money, is your wicket. The market is going to keep throwing balls at you every single day for the rest of your life. If you just survive on the pitch for 3 to 5 years without losing your capital, the runs will naturally come. Don't play to win the cup on day one. You've got to play to survive.
So, how exactly do you survive? By adhering to a golden risk-to-reward ratio of 1 to 3. This rule dictates that for every 1 unit of risk you take, every single rupee you're willing to lose, you must have an expected reward of 3 units. You only enter a trade if the potential upside is 3 times larger than the downside.
And this brilliantly illustrates how the math actually works. Imagine you take 10 trades, okay? Let's say you're wrong 7 times out of 10. You lose 10 rupees each time, meaning you've lost 70 rupees. Ouch. But because of your strict 1 to 3 ratio, on the 3 trades you actually win, you make 30 rupees each, bringing in 90 rupees. So even after being completely wrong 70% of the time, you still walk away with a net profit of 20 rupees. This proves, without a doubt, that wealth creation is not about being right all the time. It is purely about strict risk management.
But to make that math work in real life, you have to overcome human psychology. You've got to learn to just book a loss, cut a finger to save the hand. As humans, we absolutely hate being wrong, don't we? We hold on to losing stocks, hoping they'll miraculously bounce back, just letting our ego get in the way. Malkin teaches that you must learn to accept a happy loss early on. Sure, it hurts a little, kind of like cutting a finger. But if you hold on out of stubbornness, the loss grows until it wipes out your entire capital. A sad loss that literally takes the whole hand. Drop your ego, accept the small loss, and stay in the game. Finally, Section 5. Find your true purpose, the ultimate motivation. Surviving that lifelong test match takes immense emotional discipline. To endure the ups and downs, the small losses, and the literal years of learning, you need a serious emotional anchor. This is where the 5 whys framework comes in. If you ask someone why they want to invest, they'll usually just say, oh, to make money. But money is just a byproduct. You have to ask yourself, why? 5 times. Why do you want money? To buy a house. Well, why? To give my family security. Why? You keep drilling down until you hit the deep core purpose. Maybe it's to provide your kids with a world-class education, or to empower your local community, or to finally achieve absolute freedom over your own time. As the saying goes, your how becomes immensely easier when your why is undeniably strong. When you truly know you're building wealth for your family's freedom, it becomes incredibly easy to ignore that expensive iPhone, to patiently learn the process, and to take those small, ego-bruising losses. So I'm going to leave you with one final, provocative thought before you buy a single stock or save your next rupee. What is your deep, underlying why? Define that, and the rest of the playbook will fall perfectly into place. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll chat you next time.